School's out for summer. School's out forever. Hey guys, Steve-O here from Movies and TVs on the Vault. And even though we know school's out forever, I thought to myself, for the fact that I have covered some high school drama shows like with One Tree Hill and OC, but I've also covered 10 Things I Hate About You. I thought I'd take this time to give you kind of my top, not really a top 10, but just a list of my favorite high school films. Films that I reviewed before such as films I've talked about before, like 10 Things I Hate About You, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 16 Candles, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, films that sort of represented high school in kind of in a different route. So this is going to be kind of like a top 10 list of top 10 list of just random high school films or school films in general. Some movies that aren't on the list is like Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, Perks of Being a Wallflower. I think Breakfast Club. Maybe Breakfast Club's on there, but this is gonna be a list of my favorite films of high school films. So, without further ado, let's get started. First one I like to talk about is Accepted. It came out in 2006. This has Justin Long and Jonah Hill in it. This film is basically about, and I think Louis Black, and this film is basically about Justin Long plays a guy who doesn't get into, and this Justin Long plays a guy who tries, doesn't really try in high school, but he tries to get into every college that he can, and when every college basically in the nation turns him down, unlike thinking, maybe I could go to community college, he says, why not start my own college and call it South Harmon Institute of Technology? I'll give you an idea what that acronym means. But what I really liked about this film is that I liked, this is not just because it's the first time I saw Jonah Hill in a film, the earliest I've seen Jonah Hill in a film. And Justin Long just came this is his first starring role since Galaxy Quest. But what I liked about this film is about, a kid wanting to kind of find his place, and after being rejected so many times, he just creates his own college. And what I kind of liked is at the start is it's a whole kind of like party college. It's everything what a fraternity, a sorority is like, or portrayed in the movies. And he ends up kind of going into another college just to take a look at it. And he comes up with the idea that he asks everybody, what do you want to learn? And then there's the evil, what do you want to learn? And so they come up with kind of like lessons on what people actually want to learn. And then there's the evil dean, played by the doctor from Silence of the Lambs. And he's kind of the fruity tooty dean who basically wants to get rid of this school that is actually a mental institution that they made into a college, and use it for more of an entrance. But there's this really good scene where kind of near the ending of the film, where the climax of the film, where their dean sort of says, you'll have to be accredited. And so he kind of says, what did you really want to do when you grew up? That kind of thing. I loved it. I thought it was a really good film. I think it works really great. I'll probably do a review of it one day. and kind of give you, maybe I'll do like a review of Accepted and, something in combined. But that's Accepted. Um, that's the film that I kind of wanted to start off with. Next thing is, now I've also talked about, since I've talked about 10 Things I Hate About You, I wanted to kind of give, in my podcast before, you can check that out in the link, one of the links below. But 10 Things I Hate About You is a really great film. I think it sort of was on the cusp of 1999. The high school was, I think, shot in Washington, and it was looks like it was made in a castle. I guess I like the cliques that we get to see. I know in 10 Things I Hate About You, there's more of a um, the cliques of, or Joseph Gordon-Levitt goes through by David Krumholtz, tells him all the cliques and cliche cliques out there, and it really works out really well. As I've said, I think Julia Stiles and Heath Ledger did a really great job of that film, and as a high school film, it's kind of a classic now. And with Heath Ledger passed away, it really shows of how talented and charming he is. But 10 Things I Hate About You is probably the film that is a pretty good high school, is a great high school film. I give it a 10. Next is Bueller. Bueller. Ah, yes, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What I call it is what a day off from school would feel. It is kind of like what I call it, what a day off from school would feel like in the 80s. From stealing a car to the parade and faking sickness to joining a parade. It really works out really well. I think this is probably my favorite Matthew Broderick role that he's been in. You had you had Rooney, played by the guy from Ghostbusters, who I think in real life turned out to be kind of creepy, but I loved him as sort of the kind of Mr. Belding, wanting to get Ferris Bueller, in detention and that kind of thing. I really liked the car going backwards so they can get the miles back, and just him doing, like, going to the game. And it's a classic film. I've seen it a couple times. I actually saw it on the big screen. I think Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a really good high school film to really kind of sink your teeth into. And I think this is what put Matthew Broderick on the map. So I give it a B+. So that's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Let me know what your thoughts are on Ferris Bueller's Day Off as well. Next is Old School. Yes, Old School, which I always compare this to when you're in your 40s and you decide to start your fraternity. To me, this is a fun flick that is hilarious and raunchy. So I really like this film. I think the chemistry between Luke Wilson, Vince Vaughn, and Will Ferrell is done really well in this film, in kind of the same way as in Accepted, where they find out that they're not a credible fraternity, that they have to do sort of the academics, and there's that really academics, which kind of remind me a little bit of like that ending scene in Billy Madison. But I really enjoyed kind of the comedy, and we're going, you're my boy Blue, and everybody going drinking the crowd, and how committed Will Ferrell is with this comedy. I think it's a classic film. Looking back at for a 2000s raunchy comedy, it might be a little bit raunchy now, but I'd like to know what your thoughts are on Old School. Is it more of a? I don't feel like it's more of a college film than anything, but that's Old School. Then I think these two films are really great for a double feature. I actually, when I bought this found Clueless on DVD, it came with Mean Girls. And though these films came out roughly 9 years apart, they represent, and I think they in a way represent the vibe that the decade and generational felt looking at both these films, because Clueless is so absorbed into the 90s and sort of, from the cell phones to the culture to, and I think looking, now 21 years at Mean Girls in 2004, I can kind of see like Don't Let Fetch Happen, the style, the comedy I think is a little bit more raunchier than Clueless, but it also works out really well than in Mean Girls. And I said that one represents the 90s, the other represents the millennium. I think this would be a great double feature for teens anywhere. Let me know what your thoughts are on Clueless and Mean Girls. You can also check out my video on the Mean Girls review down on the link below. But that is Clueless and Mean Girls. Next is Easy A. Now, Easy A, so sorry with the camera. Easy A, though this film, though this is more of a film, it is kind of more of a sex comedy, because it's about a girl who who really takes the literal percent of the Scarlet Letter and puts it full force. I think it works really well where it is that kind of still has that feeling of a raunchy 80s comedy that, I think and it's kind of that turn of the decade. It came out in 2009, so it had that turn of the decade feel to it. But it also has the 80s. I like Emma Stone. I think she worked really well in this kind of leading role that she has. I liked Penn, I think his name's Penn Teller. He was in John Tucker Must Die. He played the other Tucker. I think he does a really good job with the comedy. He's also in Gossip Girls. They work out really good. Thomas Hayden Church, who was Sandman in Spider-Man 3, plays the teacher, and same way in Clueless with Wallace Shawn, there's always sort of a teacher-esque, and then there's Lisa Kudrow, who plays another teacher. I think it works out pretty good. Easy A is an A+, but let me know what your thoughts are on Easy A. Next off is School of Rock. And I love this film. This film came out in 2003, so it's about 22 years old now. And I like how Jack Black, he plays kind of a rock star who is kind of a loser, doesn't, I think at the beginning of the film, he kind of ruins their big chance at a gig. And I think kind of using sort of the power, using the, kind of basically, it's a liar reveal where he pretends to be a substitute teacher, but I think it has heart to it where, with heart to it, because the love of music and the way he kind of chooses his, or the way he sort of builds off his parent or his love of teaching music really brings it together. I love School of Rock. I'll take more of a look at it. I might do a double feature with School of Rock and another high school film or another school film. But the next one is The Breakfast Club. This film is more about five different types of cliches gathered together for one Saturday in the library. And this is our second John Hughes film because John Hughes did Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I liked how they learned about each other. And it's more of a drama. You had Emilio Estevez, who I always know as Coach Bombay in the Mighty Ducks movies. He plays sort of the jock. You had Marley Ringwald, who's sort of the popular girl. And you had Anthony Michael Hall as sort of the nerd. And I think it worked out really good. I think there's chemistry to it. I like how the fact that it just takes place in one sitting. It really works really well. So that's sort of the Breakfast Club. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Breakfast Club. Did you grow up with it in the 80s? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know. All right, so all you 2000s people, y'all probably loved High School Musical. This film, the films that shows you that you have to stick to your clique and sing along. This film showed a school with everything face. And this, of course, is a film that pretty much brought Zac Efron, kind of gave him his big break. High School Musical 1, it's all about the jock basketball player kind of gets stuck into, has to kind of hide the fact that he wants to be in musical theater. And it's all about kind of stick to the status quo to everybody in the high school. And it works out pretty good. And then High School Musical 2 was them going into they're getting summer jobs and kind of dealing with all the summer love and the whole fact of summer and being at the pool and stuff. I liked High School Musical 2. High School Musical 2 works pretty well, but I really think they really put some elbow grease into High School Musical 3, because I feel like High School Musical 3 deals with kind of them graduation, and it is sort of like going from the series of them sort of maturing. I think it's probably the best one out of the trilogy, and I think it works pretty great. And I like the fact that they graduated, and I think that's where they should have stayed. I know that they did High School Musical, the television series for Disney Plus. Let me know below, have you seen that show? What's your thoughts on High School Musical 1, 2, and 3? Did you grow up with it? And this movie came out in 2006, so it was like right when I was getting out of high school. So I still have kind of fondest memory for it, but it's not that as big as I'm not as big as a fan as I thought I was. Next up, Sky High. So before Disney bought Marvel, and we had the Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters for the X-Men, before they could have the X-Men, and hopefully we'll get the X-Men, but that's a different story. Anyway, we had Sky High, and Sky High is a really good film, and I liked how it had originality to it, because you had Kurt Russell. He plays sort of like the Superman of the universe. They have a scene where they have a hover or flying magic school bus, pretty much. Then they do like you kind of become a hero or a sidekick. Jim is all about them like kind of rescuing, like I think there's like being the hero and rescuing the hostage, and then kind of it's like a hostage dummy kind of thing. I thought it's really creative for what it does, and it's really original. I think Sky High has gotten a cult following nowadays, but it works out really well. Let me know what your thoughts are on Sky High. I think it actually has a really good twist, and Kurt Russell and Kelly Preston did an amazing job as mom and dad. Next up is She's the Man. So She's the Man. This is sort of, I guess, if 10 Things I Hate About You is is loosely based on Taming of the Shrew. This is very loosely based on on uh, what is it? I think Twelfth Night. Twelfth Night. I'm sorry. This film basically has Amanda Bynes. She plays a girl who after getting kicked off her soccer team, and since her brother decides to leave school to pursue his music career in England, she ends up going to the she ends up going to be him, and sort of it's the him, her disguising herself as a guy to infiltrate, to join the soccer team to beat them. It's a really surprisingly good movie. I think this is Channing Tatum's maybe first comic role in 2006. I think he was in Step Up the same year. Amanda Bynes, who was still getting on, I think she was in a TV series called What I Like About You for WB. And you had a really strong cast. Even David Cross, who, if you know from Men in Black, he plays the video store clerk owner in the second one of MIV 2. Anyway, it really works out well. I think the chemistry works out great between all the cast. I think it's funny. I think it's charming. I like the Vinnie Jones, who plays the Juggernaut, and he was also in Snatch, plays the plays the soccer coach. It worked out really well. I think She's the Man is a classic. So that's my thought looks at She's the Man. Next, speaking of She's All That. So this film probably would be a double feature with Boys and Girls, since they both star Freddie Prinze Jr. This is more of the ugly duckling, and she's not really ugly. It's the Clark Kent effect, where all she has to do is take off her glasses, and she is a bona fide hottie. But She's All That works because I think Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel Lee Cook really have really great chemistry. Paul Walker, which was I think in his maybe second or third, the fourth kind of teen role, plays kind of the bad boy, kind of his best friend. And, and this film, it's kind of the liar reveal. There's that great scene where she's, am I effing bet? And it's really kind of gut wrenching. This film I really liked. I think it's a really good double feature. It's kind of the end of the 90s film where it deals with more of kind of what high school was like in 1999. You had Usher, who played Usher played like a DJ. I thought it worked really great. I feel like this would be a good, teen film from the 90s and a nice time capsule. So that's She's All That. And that is the top 10 films, or kind of those random 10 films about high school movies. I know if there's a ton of them I've not mentioned. This isn't really a top 10 list. This is just a list of what high school movies, kind of just a list of high school films I just wanted to randomly talk about. So let me know what your thoughts are on the films I've talked about. As always, like and subscribe if there's anything you would want me to cover. Please leave comments down below. As always, keep comments as nice as possible. You know, I'm just wanting to do something that I love. As always, I'm Steve-O, and high school never ends. Oh, 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 oh. Peace.